do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play a roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bets, cause we know who we at, we know we top tier. Cause all the hate that you bring, we know it stops here. I'm taking off like a rocket here, ain't stopping here. It's strange how they cannot see the future, but see profit here. Wait up, we gon' always win. Hello, I can't take no loss. My team hold no L's, no. Aiming for the top, can't make it by myself.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Brett Breaks Things. And right now, you're quick people. You think quick. You see the shot, and something's wrong. Something's off. You can feel it. You can't put your finger on it, but you can feel something's off. It is something off. We came back from the weekend with all sorts of problems all over the studio. Most of them got knocked out. One problem, however, the computer that controls our lighting system, that was a no-go today. And so we had to manually try to adjust these lights without the aid of the, the user interface that goes with the lighting, right? We had to go by like auto settings on the back, and Scott has been scrambling. This is the result of multiple attempts. Looks like the best we can do. We got to get that computer fixed. So hopefully we can all deal with this in the meantime. And hopefully the value of whatever I'm bringing to the table will not be diminished by this crappy lighting. All right, that's all I'm going to say about that. Bear with us on that. But I did enjoy my weekend. I'm actually rewatching Sopranos. Scott and I have been talking about it, and the whole Shylock comment out of Trump. And I mentioned Sopranos, and my wife hadn't seen it yet in totality. So we're rewatching Sopranos. What a great way to spend the weekend, honestly. Just hanging out with the wife, watching Sopranos, rewatching it, watching it for the first time, her. I suggest anybody. Yes, Scotty.
Gotta have some gabagool.
Oh.
Gabagool.
The gabagool with the manicook. Yeah. Actually, as they go through and say all these like Italian colloquial sayings, I'm writing them down. I'm Googling them and trying to find a context with which to hit my wife with it. Right. Most of them are pretty derogatory, so I got to keep it cool.
You could always just hit me up and ask me, Brett. I can give you the translation.
Run it by you.
I got them all for you. Yeah. I know them all.
I know you do. I've been hit with quite a few of them.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, I certainly have. No, it's been fun. Had a nice relaxing weekend. Came into the opposite of relaxing. The antithesis of relaxing is the situation I came in on. So there's breaking stuff. We got more Trump for you today. Sorry. It is what it is. The dude talks a lot, lies a lot, riffs a lot, and he always finds the camera. He finds the camera, and he one thing we didn't play, some of you may have seen over the weekend, a pathetic display out of him at the soccer championships, as he would not get off the stage as the victorious, I think it was the Venezuelan team, was it, Scott? I'm not sure. Another team, some team.
Chelsea.
Oh, Chelsea. What am I talking about? It was Chelsea. Thank you. It was Chelsea. And they tried to usher him, like he presented the trophy, time for the team to, cheer and get excited and celebrate amongst themselves. And he would not get off the stage. We didn't grab it because some of we'd get flagged. So definitely check it out. It's pathetic. But there's other Trump news. And I have been laying out this kind of narrative over the last few weeks, ever since Putin snubbed his little sleepover in Turkey, his peace talk sleepover, where Marco went and, Erdogan skipped it, Putin skipped it, so then Donnie heard they're skipping it, so he had to skip it. Ever since then, ever since Putin made him look really dumb, and then not 24 hours after that, a massive drone attack. That was the beginning, publicly, of this narrative switching, right? Just before that, he had been attacking Zelensky, refused to call Russia the aggressors or even say publicly that they started this war, and that Ukraine is in the wrong for not just coming to a deal, do a deal, although that deal meant ceding a third of their territory to Russia. So right after that plane call started to switch, and it has been ramping up. And I've been playing you videos of good phone calls with Zelensky and not good phone calls with Putin. And he's not happy with Putin. He's not happy with Putin. And it ramped up and it ramped up and it ramped up. And it culminated in a deal today, a NATO deal to supply weapons to Ukraine. Now, Donnie, the deal maker, finagled his way into a deal where the U.S. won't be putting out money. NATO is going to be purchasing, different NATO nations are going to be purchasing certain weapon systems from us, and we will provide that to Ukraine through those countries. This has been ramping up, and we're not quite there just yet with a true split between these two. We're almost there. We're getting there. Trump had stuff to say leading up to this.
Are you going to be announcing sanctions on Russia tomorrow? We're going to see what we will see tomorrow, okay? We have the Secretary General. As you know, Europe has announced sanctions. But I am very disappointed with President Putin. You know, I thought he was somebody that meant what he said, and he'll talk so beautifully, and then he'll bomb people at night. We don't like that.
We don't like that. We don't like that. He talks so beautifully, then bombs people at night. So I said, I think Thursday or Friday, I can't remember. I said he's either completely aware of Putin's decision-making and goals in Ukraine, how far they're willing to go, how long they're willing to do this, or he has been left in the dark and played the entire time by Putin. And I'm starting to shift over to the latter. I'm starting to shift over to the latter as he keeps saying things like this. You know, I talked to Putin on the phone, and then he bombs people at night as if he doesn't know. Now, Trump's a terrible liar, but he's not that good of an actor. He's not that good of an actor. I actually believe that he is getting more and more frustrated and embarrassed by the obvious dynamic between these two guys. Putin's going to do what he wants to do, how he wants to do it, and Don is left to clean up the public mess of it. What he tries to say to Putin in regulatory or, aggressive or assertive terms, and then what Putin does in the face of that, no matter what. And Don's left holding the bag. He's left looking like an idiot time and time again. Well, the deal has been made, at least to supply weapons to Ukraine. And he talks about it.
I'm going to have a meeting with the Secretary General who's coming in tomorrow. But we basically are going to send them various pieces of very sophisticated military. They're going to pay us 100% for them. And that's the way we want it. And we've been trying to get that again. I don't think Biden ever asked for it. We're in for about $350 billion. Europe is in for $100 billion. That's a lot of money, 100, but they should be in actually for more than us. So as we send equipment, they're going to reimburse us for that equipment. Doesn't that sound good? That's the way it should have been a long time ago. I haven't agreed on the number yet, but they're going to have some because they do need protection. But the European Union is paying for it. We're not paying anything for it, but we will send it. It'll be business for us, and we will send them Patriots, which they desperately need, because Putin really surprised a lot of people. He talks nice, and then he bombs everybody in the evening. So there's a little bit of a problem there, and I don't like it.
A little bit of a problem there. He doesn't like it. Before I get into the deal itself, and the details are still coming out, that meeting he's referring to happened this morning, and the deal was struck. Okay, and the deal was struck. But something he said in that clip, he just can't help. First of all, he just has to invoke the name of Biden. Biden is off doing his thing, man. He's retired. Leave him alone. We are too far into your administration to keep talking about Biden. Nobody wants to hear about Biden. Your side doesn't want to hear about him. We certainly don't want to hear any more about it. He's not running. He's not out here even saying anything in response to all of your attacks after the fact. Just let it go. You just got to crowbar Biden in there. It kind of makes him look weak as time goes on, right? When you want to get when you're fresh in the office and you want to make examples of what Biden did that you're going to change and I'm going to enact that flies in the face of Biden's philosophies. When you first get there, that's one thing. When you campaign on it, that's one thing. Now you just look weak. Continuing to bring up Joe Biden. If he was such an ineffective and terrible president, why is he always on your mind? Why is everything you're doing trying to counteract something he did? I think he was a much more impressive figure in your mind than you let on. Regardless, he said a figure there, $350 billion we're into Ukraine. I don't know if you guys caught that. Just toss, and we got more video of Don just tossing numbers, just pulling numbers out of his head and just out in front of a camera. And that's one of them, 350 billion. We're not even half that into Ukrainian support. Not even half. And we're not talking about just military support, all support for Ukraine. About around half, actually. All support, humanitarian aid, recovery, intelligence, not just weapons, not just planes, all of it. We're about $170 billion invested in the defense of Ukraine from an incursion by the Russian government. No Cassius Belli. No discernible or explainable reason for this other than Nazis in the Ukrainian government. Insane crap. So yes, we are $170 billion into defending them from an invasion. I got no problem with it. Not even close to the $350 billion he talks about. Not even close. Just saying things. Just says things. But we do have a deal in place. Is Trump making an announcement? Is that... Okay, hold on. Yeah, we got Trump saying something here.
As you know, we've spent $350 billion approximately on this war with Russia and Ukraine.
170.
And would like to see it end. It wasn't my war, it was Biden's war. It's not my war, I'm trying to get you out of it. And we want to see it end. And I'm disappointed in President Putin because I thought we would have had a deal 2 months ago, but it doesn't seem to get there. So based on that, we're going to be doing secondary tariffs if we don't have a deal in 50 days. It's very simple. And they'll be at 100%. And that's the way it is. That can be more simple. It's just the way it is. I hope we don't have to do it. But as you...
All right. Well, so, there, you know, he doubled down on his lie. Nobody is around him. Like he said it the first time, right? He said it the first time. That's a different clip. So that means he said it the first time, and there is nobody in his orbit that could say, hey, Don, you doubled it. You might want to get the figure correct. But even if somebody did say that, what's Don going to say to him? Look, I already said it. And my perception is reality. If I said it, it's true. You're fired. Get away from me with your truth. Get away from me with your advice that might have me save a little face in front of the world and not sound like a big lying idiot who has no clue and no cognitive faculties at all, like nothing going on upstairs. Get out of here. How dare you try to... Somebody might have told him, right? But there's no way he's going to go on camera and say, yeah, you know what? Earlier, I may have inflated the figure. Sorry about that. It's actually about 170 or 175. Sorry about that. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. But we are funding some Patriot missiles. Germany has offered to buy 2 Patriot batteries. Norway's going to buy a battery. The total number of batteries is still under discussion. German defense minister is going to meet with Pete Hegseth. And Marco Rubio and Senator Graham are going to meet with NATO. And they're going to hammer out the details of this deal. We don't know exactly what other munitions are going to go along with it, what other support's going to go along with it, but we know that these Patriot missile batteries are going to be at the center of this deal that Trump has made.
It's time for a quick break, then we break some more. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. The luxury. Brett Breaks Things, fighting for America one mic drop at a time.
Okay, and just to put a bow on the deal with Russia, like I said, we're almost there with this relationship going completely sour, as it looks like Trump has given Russia 50 days to make a peace deal with Ukraine, or he is going to levy 100% tariffs. 100%. And I would not be surprised if sanctions of another nature, mainly their oil production, also being involved shortly thereafter, or possibly before. We'll see. But he's given them 50 days or 100% tariffs. So, I mean, we're right there. We're right there with, at least publicly, at least what we have knowledge of, what we're privy to, because Trump always runs his mouth, plays nothing close to the chest, right? We know what the guy's thinking in real time. It's pathetic. So since that is the case with our president, we are appraised up to this point. He's looking at 100% tariffs on Russia.
I can say some of the early responses is criticism that he's giving him 50 more days, and also that the markets aren't responding as negatively to it as people would expect it, because people are actually expecting them to go harder on Russia. So people are even saying the 100% tariffs isn't enough, especially with 50 days. So
wow,
we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. And as it plays out, I'll bring it to you. I'll bring it to you breaking. That's a promise. We're gonna move on to something a little more fun, because I could do this all day. I don't know what it is about this Epstein story. The whole country is on board. Randy used to talk about shared experiences. We don't have shared experiences anymore, right? She used to talk about the Super Bowl was a shared experience. The Olympics were a shared experience, but we don't share much anymore. We are sharing this. Everybody, I mean anybody and everybody I've talked to about this, nobody's ever said, oh, the Epstein Files, I have no opinion, don't care. That has never been a response. One way or another, far this way, far that way, hyperbolic or understated, everybody's got an opinion on the Epstein thing, right? I mean, the documentaries about them, I mean, you just can't help yourself. You watch them, you learn about it, it's abhorrent, and you want justice. We all want some measure of justice, I think, is at the heart of our national interest in this. Some measure of justice, right? Epstein dies. We're promised these lists. Kash Patel, Bongino, Bondi herself, Bannon, everybody's talking about the list. I mean, don't forget, a lot of the right-wing, pushback against his current stance on there is no list, no conspiracy there's no there. Their pushback, don't forget, the Democrats are supposed to be the party that kidnaps kids and drains their adrenochrome and does rituals in pizza parlors. That has been the narrative for years and years and years out of the MAGA, the far right, the MAGA right, the radicalized ones. They've been banging that drum for years. And now was their time. This was supposed to be their time. And Trump is robbing them of it. I think many people on the left just want to know who did what, right? I think we just want to know who did what. We're not interested in if they, politically fund the left or politically fund the right, or if they've spoken out or in support of Trump or Biden. I don't think a lot of us care at all about that stuff. I think we just want to know. And we're not the only ones who want to know. But Don has said he's spoken on this. He doesn't know why this is an issue. Why are you still talking about this? Why are you still talking about it? Even though everybody in his administration, everybody that he's hired in the FBI and his DO and his AG and everybody's been talking about it for years, right? But why do you want to know about it now? Is what Trump wants to know. There's nothing there. And he is not happy about these attacks on Pam Bondi. He a little dissertation here. I mean, this long Truth Social post by Trump. I'm going to get into it and some reaction just out of the right to this. But I highlighted just a couple sections. What's going on with my boys and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration. I'm sorry.
You couldn't even make it all the way through, bro.
I skimmed through it by myself and smiled. But now that I'm saying it out loud, I tried to make it through, Scott. I tried. The talk of the world. And selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies. Jeffrey Epstein. Well, he's dead. His cause of death, that's still up in the air. Right? But him being dead is not. That is not debatable, Mr. President. Jeffrey Epstein's dead. He continues later on in this gigantic, ridiculous post. The left is imploding. The left is imploding. As the right implodes over this, he's posting everything he says is the opposite, period. We have a perfect administration. That means we have a kakistocracy. We have the worst administration possible, is what that means. The left is imploding? No, the right is imploding, and we are all watching it. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020. We're talking about 2020, 5 years ago. And arresting thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. So, according to our little theorem that we just worked up, if he says it, it's the opposite. That means the radical left-inspired, that means the radicalized right that has inspired this. Let Pam Bondi do her job. She is great. Let her do her job. She is horrible at it. There was responses to this. All of these are right-wing responses. All of these are MAGA or Trump supporters responding to this post. I just grabbed a couple that I want to read quickly to you. You are losing many in your base. Pam Bondi has not been telling us the truth. Her story changed each time, sir. You need to listen to us. Are you aware how long and hard many of us work to get to the truth? We refuse to give this a pass. Others, Mr. President, you did make a promise, just saying. Why did he kill himself? Why is Ghislaine still in prison? With all due respect, release everything with nothing left out other than the minor victims' names. Every pedophile needs to be held accountable, castrated, and imprisoned. I agree with about half of that post. I do want to know who did this. The castrated part, I don't know. It goes on and on. It goes on and on and on. This post was what's called ratioed. Normally, when somebody that is as followed as closely and as many numbers as Donald Trump is, when they do a post, the likes far outweigh the comments. Like. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of likes. You know, in contrast, not many comments comparatively. Not this one. This one ratioed out many, many more comments than likes. That is very unusual for Donald J. Trump on Truth Social. People aren't happy. They're not happy. And Benny Johnson, you may recognize that name. He's one of the top 5, I'd say, right-wing influencers, pundits. He's got a show, social media, the whole deal. He's a big, big, big name. 3.7 follows on Twitter. Big name in the right-wing sphere. He had some thoughts about this. Whoops. Let me get the right thing queued up, and then I'll give you his thoughts about it.
Okay. So President Trump has acknowledged that the Epstein Files exist here. President Trump has acknowledged that the files were written and that there is something there. He says that they were written, however, by his enemies and therefore will not be released. Whoa, what? That's new in this entire zeitgeist. This is something that is wildly interesting. And then he goes all in on supporting Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. No mention of Dan Bongino, where all of this, again, sort of transpired.
Yeah. I mean, you can't talk so long and hard and have all of your subordinates going out parroting you about this list for years and just tell us it doesn't exist. He even recognized that. So he comes out and reverses that and says, well, there is something there, but there's no there. It exists, but don't worry about it because it's been released by our leftist opposition, right? The radical left, right? The radical left wrote it, right? So what are we going to give it any attention for? Even though you've all been clamoring and screaming and jockeying for this for years, you celebrated the release of the files. You celebrated getting your guy Patel and your guy Bongino, who had been the 2 most vocal voices on this. You literally celebrated their FBI getting their hands on the files with social media influencers and prominent names literally holding up the files in triumphant fashion, and all of the Democrat pedophiles were about to be exposed. Okay, phase 2, let's go. Right? You got phase 1 done, Pam. Where's phase 2? Where is it? And even Trump admits, okay, they're there, but what are we going to pay attention to it for? It's written by the leftist radicals. The file that exposes the pedophiles was written by the pedophile radical left. It makes a lot of sense, Trump. Well done. Benny Johnson continues.
By admitting that the Epstein files are real and have been written and that you've read them and you don't like their contents and they were written by your enemies, doesn't make the most compelling case.
Nope. It's a terrible case. And as usual, the things you say make no sense, President Trump. It's just, we talked about the rift developing in the Republican Party over the Iran bombing. And it was legit, right? And I think that there are still scars there that have yet to heal, right? Wounds that have yet to heal. This is just furthering it. I mean, this scandal, can I call it a scandal? It is reopening that wound or creating a whole new one that might be bigger and more deadly with more of your Republican blood flowing out of it. Because, I mean, everybody can recognize the hypocrisy in what you and the DOJ and the FBI are doing right now. It is lost on nobody.
Breaking politics, breaking narratives, breaking news. But first, we need a coffee break. You're back with Brett Breaks Things, because silence isn't an option.
All right. So again, real quick, since I got you in the middle of the show, please donate, brettbreaksthings.com. I know a lot of you have, some of you reoccurring. Thank you to everybody. Please head over to our YouTube, Brett Breaks Things on YouTube. We don't know where this light situation is going. We don't know where this is going, and we're going to need your support to get through it for sure. So thank you very much. I don't know. It's the fascination on this stuff. Like I said, I really think it's rooted in justice, right? We all want to see justice for these victims, and we want to see somebody, for once, get held accountable for their reprehensible actions, especially considering the victims in this case. This is one of those things that transcends politics. It really does. And I think Trump really was either misled, misguided, misinformed, or advised, or simply doesn't get it, that this transcends political lines. There were minors, young victims who were victimized by the wealthiest, most powerful, most evasive, the group that is held accountable the least. And we hoped that just this one time, we would see those responsible, regardless of their standing and their power and their money, be held accountable. And I think that's why everybody is so fired up about this. We're so close. We're right there. Pam Bondi, she echoed this in 2024. She was on board in 2024. Expose these people.
First of all, it should have come out a long time ago. Professor Dershowitz wanted it out. And by the way, he is one of the best attorneys in this country. I know him. I know his wife. That's a great family, and they've been dragged through hell on this. I want to know why AG Garland and the Justice Department are so quiet on this tonight. You know, they're out there labeling parents domestic terrorists, yet they're saying nothing about this. And these documents were so slow to come out. Human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar business in this country, and Jeffrey Epstein is dead, and Ghislaine Maxwell is in prison for 20 years where she belongs. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
And now there's no list. There's no there. Move on. We've got tragedies. How dare you? Can't believe we're still talking about this. DOJ reports, nothing there. No list, no blackmail list, nothing suspicious in the death. That's what we're getting now. You just heard what she had to say in 2024. Last year. Now, nothing. This is hypocrisy to such a level that you absolutely cannot talk around it, do mental gymnastics to explain it. There's nothing to be said at this point. Your hypocrisy is on display for everyone to see. Why? Why the sudden change? Maybe this has something to do with it.
And I've said before that Epstein used to bring out this set of pictures. There were about a dozen snapshots, and among them, there are at least three that I remember. Two of topless girls sitting in Trump's lap around Epstein's swimming pool, and then one with
Excuse me?
a stain on the front of Trump's pants with three or four girls laughing and pointing at it.
What?
So I have seen those pictures.
Hey.
So what's your best guess as to where they are?
Well, I'm my best guess is that Epstein kept them in the safe. The safe was emptied out by the FBI. Where are those pictures?
That is Michael Wolff. That is Michael Wolff. Well, who's Michael Wolff? How does he know this? Michael Wolff wrote 2 books on Trump. 2. Fire and Fury, which we talked about a lot on Randy's show, and All or Nothing, How Trump Captured America. Wrote 2 books on Trump. Maybe that has something to do with, Pam Bondi wanting to bury this a little bit. Whether she saw it herself and said, Don, we can't run with this. Or Don knew damn well the types of things that would be uncovered and were in there and said, Pam, you were chosen for a reason. Now do your job in service to me. Not to America or the truth or those victims. Do your job in service to me. That's the great job he was referring to in that Truth Social post. The job she's doing to cover his ass. Do your job. And she's doing it. Other people are doing the job faithfully. Have their orders, have their marching orders, and they are executing them. There are others. Let's hear what Kash Patel, I've played other Kash Patel. I'm going to play another one. I just want to remind you where Kash Patel stood on this issue just last year.
You say that the FBI has Epstein's list. They're sitting on it. That doesn't seem like something you should do. You're protecting the world's foremost predator. That seems like an evil thing to do, regardless of who may be embarrassed in the release of that list. Why is the FBI protecting the greatest pederast, the largest scale pederast in human history?
Simple, because of who's on that list. You don't think that Bill Gates is lobbying Congress night and day to prevent the disclosure of that list?
I would love for Kash to go back on that show and answer the exact same question now that he is head of the FBI. Why is the FBI protecting the largest pederast ever? Kash, I think his answer will be different. I think it will be different. Michael Wolff talked about, yeah, the FBI has those photos. Most likely it's the FBI investigators that have those photos. Okay, that's Kash Patel. Where are those photos, Kash? Where is it? What do you have to say for yourself, Kash? You are the head of the FBI now. What does he have to say for himself? Just a recent tweet by Kash Patel. Just a recent one. The conspiracy theories just aren't true. Never have been. It's an honor to serve the President of the United States, and I'll continue to do so for as long as he calls on me. I think that was from Saturday. I played you the Pam Bondi. Now you know what she has to say, the DOJ. I played you Kash Patel, and now you know what the FBI has to say about it. The hypocrisy is so thick you could cut it with a knife and serve it up. The hypocrisy is tangible, obvious, unavoidable, and bipartisan. That's why he's in so much trouble. That's why. I mean, think about if he just lost a small percentage of MAGA over this, where they just didn't go to the polls. Because this story, this scandal, is not going to make them say, I'm now voting blue. No, we're Democrats, right? We're the devil. We're un-American. We're unpatriotic. We're traitors. You've heard the rhetoric. They're not going to go out and vote for Democrats. They just might not vote for the guy who covered up the Epstein files. It's that simple. What percentage can he survive? Peeling off of MAGA. Peeling off of, far-right conservatives who aren't necessarily MAGA, but still align more with this Republican Party than with this Democratic Party, right? Those Republicans. Yeah, Trump's a terrible guy, but overall, whatever. And of course, what effect would something like this have on independence? And I know everybody's interested in this. And I'm not the only one who knows it. Turning Point USA had a little conference. Oh yeah, that Turning Point USA. And Charlie Kirk and Megyn Kelly, they were the hosts, and they revealed something pretty obvious, pretty stark, unavoidable. I'm talking about an unavoidable bipartisan interest in this. Check this out.
Well, this is the first big scandal, I'd say, of the Trump administration that's on Team Rational. It's not a fake media scandal like the left tries to create for President Trump every other day. It's one of the right's own making, and it's not going well. And it has to do with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. Let me just ask you, make some noise if you care about the Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Raise your hand if it matters a lot to you. Raise your hand. So every hand of 7,000 people.
Everybody cares.
Hey, Charlie, just let Megyn do her thing. Why you got to piggyback on that rousing applause she just generated and energy just to bring it down? Well, now quietly raise your hand because I need some attention too. I don't like Charlie Kirk. Don't like Megyn Kelly. Don't like either of them. But that is what it is, right? And I don't have to tell you how conservative Turning Point USA is. This continued. Megyn made more interesting points. How about that?
No, we all have busy lives, and President Trump has a busy life, and I don't think he realizes how much she's humiliated the administration. This is a self-inflicted wound. She caused it. Again, I have nothing against Pam Bondi, but if you want to look for the villain in this story, we have found her. She is the person who's she's either lying now or she was lying then. There's no two ways about it.
She was either lying now. She's either lying now or she was lying then. We've laid it out for you, and we're not the only ones. Megyn Kelly's telling you flat out she's either lying now or she was lying then. Period. You know I love to hear from John Ossoff. There's a couple guys that I love to hear from. Buttigieg, Ossoff, White House. I got some Ossoff sound for you. Ossoff said something about this at a little rally.
President Trump promised to end the wars. He promised to release the Epstein Files. Did anyone really think the sexual predator president who used to party with Jeffrey Epstein was going to release the Epstein Files?
Bro, Ossoff. Boom, shots fired. Holy crap. He went straight into sixth gear. There's that, John. Appreciate you pointing that out. Yeah, go figure. The guy who said his underage daughter was hot. The guy who owned Miss Teen USA pageant and then said, well, you could just go back in the back and watch him undress and nobody says anything. Go figure the guy who was held criminally liable for sexual assault on E. Jean Carroll. Go figure this guy would give a little pushback to exposing pedophiles. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It tracks. It tracks, John. Can't argue with you, bud. You bring up a good point.
We'll be back to break it all down. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things. You're listening to Brett Breaks Things, pushing back, speaking up, and holding the line.
Sure, in court, this ruling came late this evening. The federal judge in this case granted 2 temporary restraining orders, directing federal agents to stop racially profiling suspected undocumented immigrants and to ensure that those who have been arrested have meaningful access to attorneys. The judge is essentially calling the government's conduct not only troubling, but possibly unlawful.
Buddy!
After weeks of aggressive immigration enforcement, tonight a federal judge is stepping in. In a strongly worded ruling, U.S. District Judge Mame Frimpong temporarily barred federal agents from targeting immigrants without clear cause and demanded they stop denying legal access to those in custody.
All right, obviously we're switching gears to immigration. You can see that this ruling came out Friday. We wanted to get to this today. We wanted to get to this. This is a win for now. This is a win. Judge Mame Frimpong from the Central District of California issued a temporary restraining order on July 11th, this happened Friday, halting indiscriminate ICE and Border Patrol operations across 7 Southern California counties, including LA, Ventura, Santa Barbara, Riverside, San Bernardino, Orange, and San Luis Obispo. The order bars federal agents from conducting roving patrols and arresting individuals without reasonable suspicion, right? This is what we've been screaming about. Our amendments are getting trampled, they're getting crapped on. They are no longer allowed to base it solely on factors like apparent race or ethnicity, accented speech, or where they work, like day labor sites, car washes, bus stops, farm work locations, things like that. They can't just say you're brown at a bus stop, or you're brown at a farm, or you're brown and I don't understand the language you're speaking. Not going to do it anymore. You're going to need more than that, is what this ruling states. Okay? Anyone detained must have timely access to legal counsel, including unmonitored calls and access available daily, 7 days a week by their counsel. And ICE cannot solely rely on prohibitive factors, race, accent, location. I just said that. Okay? Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Newsom have hailed the decision as a protection for immigrants, and the ACLU and public counsel described it as a major victory against state-backed terrorism of Latino communities. And the White House, says the judge is overstepping. Obviously, this is the battle that's been going on between this administration and these district court judges. The administration says they have no authority to tell us how to, enact our immigration policies. This is a federal, initiative, and they have no authority to tell us how and when and where and why to do these things. And so the battle continues, and they will appeal it. They will appeal it for sure. You can bet that this is going to get kicked up once again. A little bit about this Mame Frimpong, because, it gets brought up every time a judge rules against a Trump policy, right? They go right to the person. We got to attack this judge. Well, she went to Harvard and Yale, and she was the first Ghanaian American federal judge. She's known for rulings involving immigration rights, civil liberties, and government accountability. But let's get to the important part. Yes, she's a Joe Biden appointed judge. So that is where she will be attacked. Obviously, expect that to be brought up more prominently in the arguments leading up to the appeal. She's a Biden appointee. She's politicizing her judgeship. Doesn't have the ruling, doesn't have the right, no authority, right? That's going to be the talking point. Kristi Noem, she has been obviously a prominent figure in a lot of the unfolding breaking news we've been going over lately. And obviously as head of DHS, she was asked to talk about this, and she did.
A federal judge issued a temporary restraining order against a lot of the ICE operations that have been carried out in Southern California just a couple of days ago. But in his order, he said this: defendants can't rely solely on the factors below, alone, or in combination to form reasonable suspicion for a detentive stop, except as permitted by law. He says apparent race or ethnicity, speaking Spanish or speaking English with an accent, presence at a particular location like a bus stop, a car wash, a tow yard, a day laborer pickup site, agricultural site, etc., or the type of work that one does. Now, the way that the LA mayor, Karen Bass, who celebrated this ruling, described it, she says this administration has been masked men grabbing people off the street, chasing working people through parking lots, and marching through children's summer camps. So what do you do with this ruling? Does it go to the Ninth Circuit? Do you do an emergency appeal to SCOTUS?
Well, this federal judge's ruling is ridiculous. We never ran our operations that way. We always built our operations, our investigations on casework, on knowing individuals that we needed to target because they were criminals, because they had conducted violent crimes against individuals in their communities or had overstayed their orders, had violated federal laws, and that is always how this is done. It's been done exactly how law enforcement has operated for many years in this country, and ICE is out there making sure we get the worst of the worst off the streets. So this judge made a decision that we will appeal, and we will win because he's wrong. We've never targeted individuals based on those qualifications that he laid out. And again, we've seen this across the country over and over and over again, where judges are getting political. It's not their job. I hope they can bring some dignity back to the bench because we certainly are lacking it now for many of these federal judges.
Yeah, that footage behind you there, Christy, that looked real discerning. Looks like you're, being analytical and, looks like you're really taking your time figuring out who deserves to be detained and who doesn't. As people are fleeing tear gas clouds across fields, we've seen video after video after video of you detaining people, pulling people out of their vehicles, chasing people down in farms, tricking them to show up to their court date, then canceling and arresting them. Don't tell me you have been judicious in your choosing of detainees and you've been analytical and discerning in your process. Don't. Spare us. Another case of this administration, they love to tell you your eyes didn't see what you saw. Your ears didn't hear what you actually heard, right? You didn't see those videos. I'm telling you now, didn't happen. We've been real judicious in our choosing of detainees. We've been careful. I mean, the guy that you can really, look to really push this administration's immigration policy in a manner with which they really want it pushed, and he has been doing that. He had something to say about how he goes about detaining people. This was maybe a week ago, something like that. Let's listen to him then.
ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question them. They just need the totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, get articulable facts based on their location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. Like a uniformed border patrol walks up to them at, for instance, a Home Depot. And they got all these articulable facts, plus the person walks away or runs away. Agents are trained. What they need to detain somebody temporarily and question them. It's not probable cause, it's reasonable suspicion.
He literally, before this ruling, he literally went down the list of things that this judge said cannot be used to determine who gets detained. Accent, color, you're at Home Depot. He literally went down the list. Now, what does he have to say after the fact? What does he sound like now that this ruling's been handed down?
You said in an interview this week that reasonable suspicion can be based on, quote, the location, their occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. What about an individual's physical appearance would give immigration agents, quote, reasonable suspicion that they might be in the U.S. illegally?
Well, first of all, let me be clear. Physical description can't be the sole factor to give you reasonable suspicion.
Excuse me?
As I said in an interview, it's articulable facts with an S. So appearance can be just one. For instance, if someone has an MS-13 tattoo on their face, that may be one factor to add to other factors to raise reasonable suspicion. I want to be clear about that again because my words are taken out of context.
No.
Physical description cannot be the sole reason to detain and question somebody. That can't be the sole reason to raise reasonable suspicion. It's a myriad of factors, and I can sit here for the next half hour and give you all the factors. So every officer, every situation is different. I look forward to DOJ litigating this judge's decision, because I think she's making a decision while knowing what that officer knows when they get out of that vehicle to question somebody.
Somebody needs to tell him to spit out all those pebbles he puts in his mouth before every interview. Just spit them out. There's no reason to talk on camera with a mouth full of pebbles. Now he said so clearly in that previous video, race, language, where they are, all reasons. And then he walks it completely back after this ruling. Well, let me be clear. Let me be clear. No, let me be clear. No, you were clear, Tom. You've been clear, except, well, maybe not how you're delivering what you want to say, but what you are saying is clear. What you are saying is clear. What you are saying is clear. And if you were thinking, you know, all these Tom Homan videos I play you and all the, you know, you see clips yourself and you hear him talk on TV. I don't know, you know, I doubt you watch much Fox, but we've seen him. If you're ever thinking, Tom Homan just seems a little despicable to me. He just seems like a, I don't know. He just seems like not a great guy. A little bit of a bully, right? Like a bully, like he would be, you know, in an 80s movie, the main bully has a bigger, little dumber bully that does the physical lifting, always with him. He's that bully. He's not the main good-looking bully with the good-looking girlfriend in the Trans Am. He's the bully's friend bully, the big one, the dumb one. You've seen him. And now I can confirm to you that's who he is. Check this out.
You got morons like this all over the country. This guy
was a turning point,
surface nation.
And there was a protester.
This guy ain't got the balls to be an ICE officer. He hasn't got the balls to be a Border Patrol agent. This guy lives in his mother's basement. The only thing that surprises me, you don't have purple hair and a nose ring. Get out of here, you loser. And you're such a badass, meet me off stage in 13 minutes and 50 seconds. I guarantee you, he sits down to pee. Guaranteed.
And I'm going to watch him do it. I'm gonna verify. I mean, that was a protester at Turning Point. And of course, this crowd just salivates at any notion of violence. Tom's up there being all tough. I mean, that's on brand. That's on brand. Tom's gonna beat him up. No, I mean, this judge's decision, this is a victory. How long it will last, that remains to be seen. You know, I even said after that ruling in San Francisco that wasn't going to last, that appeal was going to be victorious. The one that wanted to hand control of the National Guard troops back to Gavin Newsom, I told you they're going to win their appeal, and I'm going to tell you right now, they're probably going to win this one too. They're probably going to win this one too. And if it goes up, and at the beginning of the One Gnome clip, she asked, will this go up to the Supreme Court? Yeah, it may just go up to the Supreme Court. How have they been ruling?
They'll try to repair the narrative, but Brett Breaks Things will be back tomorrow to break it all down.